Special meeting of the Bowling Green Board of Commissioners for June 26, 2018. I remind everybody that it's a special meeting because we're skipping next Tuesday for a particular reason.
The 47th Annual Bowling Green Kiwanis Club Thunderfest will be at the Corvette Museum next Tuesday. The mayor was gracious enough to cancel the meeting so that we wouldn't be here doing this business and you could join me at the Thunderfest. Only $20 a carload and all the money goes to children's charities. Be there. Radio voice.
Since it's a special meeting, we get right to business, so please call the roll.
Commissioner Nash?
Yes.
Commissioner Perigin?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Denning?
Here.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Here. First item is second reading of ordinance BG 2018-30.
Ordinance relating to budget amendment. Ordinance approving amendment number 3 to the City of Bowling Green, Kentucky annual operating budget for fiscal year 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. It's a second reading and explained on the first reading last time. Is there any further comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-116.
Municipal order approving the promotion of Robbie L. Gilliam to the position of Deputy Fire Chief in the Fire Department.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Nash, second by Denning. Mr. Meisel.
With the retirement of Deputy Chief Jason Souders, who is here today, I'd like to thank Jason for all his service. He will be retiring as of July 1st. We have an opening for Deputy Chief, and I'd like to ask Chief Colson to come up and make his recommendation.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. As City Manager mentioned, the retirement of Mr. Souders will create a vacancy in the department's administration. During my evaluation of eligible candidates, there were key attributes that were a determining factor in my selection and recommendation before you this evening. Ideally, the candidate for Deputy Chief of the Fire Department would demonstrate initiative, an ability to communicate, both written and verbally, the ability to plan and organize. We're looking for the ability to analyze problems and remain composed when faced with difficulties. The ideal candidate would demonstrate sound judgment and reasoning, and most importantly, that candidate would demonstrate leadership. I'm here this evening to recommend an individual who has demonstrated all those things and more throughout his career. With that, it is my recommendation that Rob Gilliam be promoted to Deputy Chief. Rob was hired in October of 2003, giving him nearly 15 years of service with the department. He was promoted as a fire apparatus operator in 2009, company commander in 2014, and he's been working as the Assistant Chief of Training since March of 2016. Notably, Rob served 17 and a half years in the Army and Army Reserve and 3.5 years in the Air Force National Guard. Rob attended Western Kentucky University and is currently enrolled in Western Supervisor Certificate Program. Rob has completed numerous courses and certifications throughout his career, earning credentials as a fire inspector, incident safety officer, fire officer 1, instructor, and many, many more. Rob has served on numerous committees and has been a part of many special projects. And most notably, he's spearheaded our self-contained breathing apparatus program for the last 5 years, ensuring that one of our most critical pieces of equipment is functioning properly. And recently, Rob has spearheaded an initiative to offer monthly first aid and CPR classes. And since the inception of that program, more than a dozen classes have been offered with more than 100 individuals receiving training and certification. I think it's fair to say that Rob's level of training, achievements, and contributions go well beyond most individuals within our organization. And Rob has consistently been trying to improve both the organization and himself throughout his entire career, and I'm looking forward to his contributions at the next level. With that, it is my pleasure to recommend Rob Gilliam for promotion to Deputy Chief of the Fire Department. I'll get Rob to stand.
Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Congratulations, I look forward to it.
Thank you, Mayor. I was gonna say something bad about it.
Yes, sir, you do everybody else. Municipal Order 2018-117.
Municipal order approving the promotions of Michael J. Delaney to the position of Deputy Police Chief, Charles D. Casey to the position of Assistant Police Chief, Jeffrey P. Glaze to the position of Police Captain, and Eric B. Woodward to the position of Police Sergeant in the Police Department.
Moved.
Second. Motion by Nash, second by Williams. Mr. Mizel.
All this is a result of the retirement of Deputy Chief Kevin Wiles, and I'd like to ask Chief Hawkins to come up and make his recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel, Mayor and Commission. It's my honor and pleasure to be here this evening or this afternoon to make 4 recommendations for promotion. It should go without saying that I have a great deal of confidence in their leadership and their ability to perform the tasks that they are going to be asked to do in their new promoted positions. I will start with these guys were going to remind me of something. That's exactly right, Slim. Thank you very much. For the 4 that are being recommended for promotion, if you all will please stand. That was almost like a choir director. That was excellent.
If Charles continues to stand, nobody in the back can see.
I'd like to start with Eric Woodward, who is being recommended for promotion to sergeant. Eric was hired March of 2000. Prior to being hired with us, he served with the Warren County Regional Jail for 2.5 years. He's a graduate of Caverna High School, and he has attended both Western Kentucky University and Rio Salado College, which, as I understand, is associated with the military. He's a firearms instructor, a police training officer, and he has attended 2 separate K-9 academies in his service with the Bowling Green Police Department as a K-9 officer. Eric's also a field training officer, police training officer, a member of our Honor Guard, firearms instructor. He was a K-9 handler from 2007 to 2014 and served on the drug task force for several years. With him tonight, helping celebrate this moment, are his wife Jessica and children Ryland and Rhodes. I would like to recommend Sergeant Jeff Gleitz for the position of captain. Jeff is unfortunately unable to be with us today. He is on active military duty and will be back very soon, but he couldn't make it tonight. And his wife and father and stepmother here tonight, I'll acknowledge those in a few minutes, but I'm happy they were able to make it with us tonight. Jeff joined the Bowling Green Police Department in June of 2007. He is a member of the U.S. Army or has been a member of the U.S. Army and has been deployed twice while a member of the Kentucky Army National Guard. He is Bowling Green High School graduate. He is a member of our critical response team, and he has also attended the Academy of Police Supervision. I mentioned he's been a member of CRT. He's one of our police certified police bicycle riders. He's also a police bicycle instructor. He's a firearms instructor and most recently achieved certification as a unmanned aerial system pilot. Most of you all know those as drones. So he's one of our first pilots as we stand up that particular unit. He has served 20 years in the Army and the National Guard, achieving the rank of Master Sergeant. He was deployed 3 different times to Albania and Kosovo, to Bosnia, and also to Afghanistan. His wife Laura is here with us tonight, his father George, and his stepmother Kim. I'd like to recommend Captain Charles Casey to the rank of the rank of major, the title of assistant chief. Captain Casey joined the Bowling Green Police Department in March of 2000. He is a graduate of Fort Campbell High School. He also attended Rio Salado University as well as Eastern Kentucky University. He has the unique designation of being one of the very few members of our organization and few nationally that have attended the National Forensics Academy at the University of Tennessee. He's an Academy of Police Supervision graduate. He has also graduated from the Criminal Justice Executive Development class. Captain Casey has been instrumental and even key in both the Coban in-car camera projects as well as the body camera project in its implementation. And he is the tip of the spear when it comes to our crime scene unit and the folks that do our advanced crime scene work in the field on the most serious crimes. He's a member of our Honor Guard. He is a police training officer, and as I mentioned, he's an advanced crime scene processor and did that for a number of years. He served with the U.S. Marine Corps from 93 to 97. He was in the U.S. Army Reserve from 97 to 2001. His wife, Kate, daughter, Alexa, sons, Jackson and Lucas, sister, Nikki Norton, and his good friend, retired Sergeant Curtis Clark are all with him tonight to help celebrate. And if I didn't mention anybody's name before now, the rest of them are here to see Michael Delaney. And I would like to recommend Major Michael Delaney for the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, the position of Deputy Chief. Mike joined the Bowling Green Police Department in January of 1998. Prior to coming to the Bowling Green Police Department, he worked at R.R. Donnelly and Sons in Glasgow, Kentucky. He is a Warren Central High School graduate and has obtained a Bachelor's of Science. He has been to Basic Special Weapons and Tactics School. He has been to the National Tactical Officers Association SWAT Command Decision-Making and Leadership Training. He is one of only 2 motor instructors. When I say motor instructors, he teaches our guys to ride the motorcycles, which is an extremely difficult class to teach and to become certified to teach. He has successfully completed the Academy of Police Supervision, Criminal Justice Executive Development, and one of the more difficult classes we ask some of our leaders to attend, the Southern Police Institute Administrative Officers course. He is a member of the Bowling Green Warren County Welfare Board. He serves on the Martin Luther King Jr. Planning Committee. He mentors young men on a number of different programs, and he also coaches Little League Baseball and basketball. He is a certified bike officer, advanced crime scene processor, was the CRT commander, serves on Honor Guard, firearms instructor, taser instructor, motor unit instructor, field training officer, verbal judo instructor, OC instructor, CPR first aid instructor, and his wife Tiffany, his mother Barbara Clark, his aunt Brenda Anderson, his aunt Laura Young, and his uncle James Clayton, along with about everybody else here, is here to help celebrate with Michael. So with that said, I highly recommend all 4 candidates for your approval. Thank you.
Comments or questions? Yes, sir. Joe, you go first.
Pretty good group. I know a couple of them, and I see family members of one of my buddies that is in the Army, Mr. Glight, known his dad for many, many moons. Comes from a good family. His wife, as you know, is associated with some TV station around here. Good group of people. Outstanding officers. I have all the respect in the world for all of them. I consider all of them my friends. But they will put me in jail if I get in trouble. I know that about them. So I stay on the good side of all of them. We're very fortunate. This is a lot different group of individuals in blue Then in 1968, when I became a police officer here in the city of Bowling Green, I can assure you, we've come a long way. A long way. I could tell you some things, and you wouldn't believe it, but I can. I am proud of our police department. As the longest member seated up here, I will always, and not let it be a question in anyone's mind, black, white, blue, whatever, that I will support the Bowling Green Police Department in every way possible unless it is proven that something went wrong. Then I am going to be on the side of what is right. But as long as my men and women do their job, treat people right, making a difference if it's my brother. If you need to throw the cuffs on him, throw the cuffs on him. I support you 100%. And I don't want anyone to go out of this room thinking otherwise. Thank you.
I wasn't born in 1968. So Joe has longer stories than I do. I would like to say something about all four, but I'm only going to mention one, and it's only because it sticks out to me that a few years ago, when I was on the commission the first time and hadn't been on there long, I went to a flag raising and lowering ceremony at the FOP, and Charles Casey was in charge of the honor guard at the time, and they had a little problem with the flag, and the flag got loose of the pole, and the flag was heading unattended with no one close towards the ground. And in the most military-like voice I've ever heard in my life, in real life or television, Charles said, "Do not let the flag hit the ground." And he said it in such a way that nearly the entire crowd moved to rescue the flag. But one officer got there in time, and I was so excited because I was afraid of what Charles was going to do if it hit the ground. I clapped, and it wasn't intentional. But all four, I believe, are good men who do a job that a lot of people, for whatever reason, may not be interested in doing anymore. And that is not to turn a blind eye to the problems that may exist in other parts of the country. But I'm proud to say that the problems that other parts of the country see, we don't see here. And I believe that's due to hiring people with good character and training people to do the job and to see the job and not necessarily see the person who they are working with. I congratulate all four.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, since they said something, I'm going to say something. I'm just proud of our entire Bowling Green Police Department. I appreciate the professionalism. I appreciate the way that you interact with citizens. You do the business as it needs to be done in the correct way, and I thank you for that. For these four, congratulations. Well deserved, each and every one of you.
I'll just say congratulations to both the fire department and the police department. Thank you for keeping us safe.
And one more thing, and I apologize. I've been calling Officer Delaney chief for a long time, and I guess now that's okay for me to do, right? I can do that publicly?
You can do it in front of Doug, right?
Chief?
Congratulations to each of you. We're very proud for this community. Thank you so much. But we do need to take a vote, so please call the roll.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes, thank you again. And please feel free to ease out if you'd like to, because I know there's a crowd.
Central.
Is that close enough, Warren Central?
This is in the city limits.
Mr. Gleitz?
Hey,
How are you,
George.
sir?
Thank you. All right, I think we can continue on with Municipal Order 2018-118.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting negotiations after sealed bidding for a portion of bid number 2018-54 for the Sloan Convention Center fiscal year 2018 capital projects interior work from Sunbelt Construction Incorporated of Bowling Green, Kentucky in the amount of $266,000.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Williams, second by Perigin. Mr. Wood, Mizel.
As most of you all know, since you were all on this convention center board, we went out for bids for some renovation, and bids came in too high, over budget. So we've kind of broken this project up, and before you tonight, we're asking for your approval to do the work on the kitchen to replace the ceiling tiles, the grid and the lighting, as well as replace the ceiling tiles in the meeting rooms and the boardroom, and lighting controls. It would be your combination of A and D in your packets for a total of $266,000. Mike Grubbs is here, can answer any questions that you have about this.
And we considered this on the Convention Center Committee last week. Are there any further comments or questions?
Sunbelt will do his job.
Please call the roll.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-119.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting the purchase of pulsar chlorine briquettes from Spear Corporation of Roachdale, Indiana for fiscal year 2019 in an amount not to exceed $67,000 for the Parks and Recreation Department.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Nash. Mr. Mizel.
These are the chlorine briquettes that we use for Russell Sims, as well as Circuit Square and soon-to-be Lambkin Park spray grounds. It's a sole source because they're the only distributor, and it's Spear Corporation. This was not much choice on this. It's the only place we can get these from, but Brent Belcher is here tonight to answer any questions that you have on it.
Comments or questions? Call the roll.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-120.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2018-56 for concrete from Kenway Concrete of Kentucky LLC of Bowling Green, Kentucky in the amount of $52,530.
Second.
Denning, second. Perigin. Mr. Mizel.
This is our annual concrete bid that we go out for to use for sidewalks, reconstruction, parks, and public works uses or works off this bid. There was only one bidder, and that was Kenway. I think Bobby Phelps was supposed to be here to explain exactly where every part of this concrete was going to be laid, but I'm just kidding. But,
You know he's watching. He'll call you.
he did not make it, but anyway, it's one bidder, Kenway, and we ask for your approval.
Further comments
I
or
was
questions?
just going to mess with him a little bit.
Please call the roll.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-121.
Municipal order authorizing and approving an agreement through non-competitive negotiations with HDR Engineering Incorporated for engineering, design, and construction inspection services for West End Greenway and intersection improvements in the amount of $126,036.
Moved.
Second.
Second by
As you know, we got the TAP grant in 16 to install about 2.4 miles of greenway. We need engineering services in the state. What they do is they assign you an engineer, and they have assigned us this company called HDR Engineering. Brent Childers is here tonight to answer any questions on this that you have. It's $126,000. They would do all the design for the greenways construction and the intersection improvements that Katie mentioned. But Brent's here if you have any questions on this.
particularly their money, their choice.
Exactly.
Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-122.
Municipal order authorizing the submission and acceptance of a grant application with the Federal Transit Administration for federal fiscal year 2019 transportation assistance under the Section 5307 and 5339 programs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. Manager.
This is the annual transit grant that we get. It's a 50% match for operating assistance, 20% for planning, and then there's another 20% for capital assistance, but that 20% for capital is made up of state matching funds of 10%, and then the city also gets some toll credits. I won't go into that, but that makes up the other 10% for that match. $653 for capital and $643 for operating assistance, and just recommend approval for this. Again, Brent Childers is here if you have any questions on this one.
Had a little bit of discussion budget process, but I think we're going to talk about it again at the fall retreat. Is that correct? Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Ash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning. Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-123.
Municipal order approving the continuation of the public transit agreement with Community Action of Southern Kentucky Incorporated for public transit services for fiscal year 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second.
In the past, we've had two agreements with Community Action. One was for their agency appropriation, which is their budget funding, and then we had a separate contract for services. We combined those into one this year. Gene worked on that, and that's what's before you tonight. Gene and Brent are here if you have any questions on this public transit agreement. But again, we've combined two into one. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is a 1 year. We are extending with Community Action for another year of the transit services, and then it lays out when they will get their agency appropriation money. That's on page 6, I believe, on October 15th, January 15th, April 15th, and then July 15th. If you have any questions, like I said, Brent Childers is here, and Gene's here as well.
Other than comments or questions?
Straightforward.
Call the roll.
Ash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson. Municipal order approving and authorizing payment to the African American Museum, Bowling Green Area Incorporated in the amount of $58,000.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Den.
2012 or 2011, we passed a municipal order authorizing funding for the African American Museum, and between the city and this entity called ROTE. And they've taken a couple of draws over the last couple years, but this $58,000 would complete the total of $123,000 in funding from the city to get this up and running. Before tonight is that last draw of $58,000. They're planning on using it to hire a manager to manage the museum and train volunteers as tour guides. So they've done good work and have been easy to work with, and this is their final request for their final draw. We ask for your approval.
Harden, you have anything you want
Dr.
to add to
Harden,
it?
yes, is here tonight if you have any questions or want to make comments.
Have any questions, but feel free to take your commercial time if you'd like to.
Questions?
No, sir, tell us what's going on, though, with you. Give us a...
Additional, I'll try to make it very simple. Additional items, we appreciate what the City of Bowling Green took the initiative to provide us the funds to help create the museum on the history of black citizens in Bowling Green area. And WKU followed the city's lead, provided a long-term lease for a museum facility. It's allowed our citizens to house historical materials similar to neighboring communities in Franklin and Russellville. They have facilities, several facilities. We're working with Vicki Finch at BG Tourism and Visitors Bureau to make sure our visitors are aware of the museum. Community groups, churches, senior citizens groups, WKU student projects, $100 solution, which they come in and work with us on certain projects. We had a visit by the Kentucky Rural Urban Exchange from across the state. They visited the museum, we gave them a tour, they met, and they were impressed with Bowling Green. The Learning Center, BG Housing Authority, they visited several times. We've had a visit from the U.S. Job Corps from Muhleberg County. We've had other groups from across the country visiting. Not only did they visit the museum, but they visited the city, which I think is an extra added attraction. And one of the things we think that funds are needed to receive, process, and preserve unique, donated historical materials relative to Bowling Green's Black community. And one important thing, the museum is planning a major fundraising project in September, and so far we've been told that individuals and major businesses have been approached, and we've received positive support for this event, and you will be hearing about it shortly. Questions?
Dr. Harden, for those who are watching and may not be aware of where the museum is located and your hours?
We are located on the roundabout, 1783 Chestnut Street. At this particular point, if you give us a call, we will arrange tours. We're all volunteers. All of the board members are also workers. We do some of the cleaning up. We do the manual labor. We set up appointments. If you want a tour, as I said, we've had groups as large as 100 to come in. We make special arrangements. If need be, make some adjustments. So it's basically give us a call at 270-745-5753. And we'll get the phone call. Some of us on our board of trustees will be there, give you the tour, and we have a number of Bowling Green residents who can give you excellent stories, like Mr. Denning, give us some excellent stories of the joys, the challenges, and the good things in Bowling Green. And so I'm a new resident. I've only been here 27 years, so I'm a youngster. So what I do is depend upon our board members who really know the truth. And they give some interesting stories about when they were growing up, State Street, High Street, all the various churches, the fun things. So it's really neat for the museum to happen. And it's in a house, but we use it as a museum to share the different pieces of education, businesses, all the good things about Bowling Green and how people have prospered through some tough times, whether they're in the military, whether it's education, or just businesses. So that's what we're doing. I keep a track of how many people sign in. Last time I counted, we've had over about 700 people from different parts of the country, as well as local people to come in. Every time they come in, you got to sign. We're keeping track of who visits, where they're from, and what they can get out of it. We listen to feedback. And so it's been positive so far. And we want it to continue. We want it to prosper, in a sense, the community, both around that particular community, but the entire community, Bowling Green and Warren County, because there's a spinoff. If they come to the museum, they're spending not only educational time, but how should we say, financial time. So there is a spill-off on all that.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Appreciate
Thank
it. Please call the roll.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-125.
Municipal order approving the reappointment of Dean Warren and appointment of Mary Vitale to the City County Planning Commission of Warren County.
Second.
Motion by Williams, second by Denning. This is a reappointment of Mr. Warren, who served one term. Adding Mary Vitale, who has extensive experience in development as well, and both with her and her family. Yes, sir. Any comments or questions?
Just a question, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I understand that any recommendation for appointment is yours and yours alone. I just wondered, and this is always difficult when we talk about board appointments because sometimes the individual gets caught in between a discussion that we may have, and I believe in having those as publicly as possible in the interest of transparency. But Can you tell me specifically related to Ms. Vitale, who, again, is a friend of mine and a fellow member of Kiwanis, whether or not she volunteered or was she recruited to serve on this board?
She volunteered to someone that brought it to my attention. She didn't talk to me directly.
Because back in April, I had sent an email to you and to other members of the board, and when I went back through my email, I couldn't find where anybody had responded to it. There's a gentleman here in town named Dr. Richard Dressler who has expressed an interest and has sought out his desire to serve on the board. I believe he's reached out to you and maybe other members of the commission. I'm not for sure. It's my understanding, again, I want to be super respectful of Ms. Vitale because she's a friend and she's willing to serve, but it's my understanding that she was asked to serve, and I'm wondering why somebody who asked to serve would be recommended over somebody who voluntarily comes forward, wants to participate more in their community, and steps forward to do so.
In this particular instance, I felt like her background would be more of value to providing insight into what happens on planning and zoning through both her interest in real estate development and with her family as well, knowing that her current employment has to do with development, I thought would be much greater help in providing. I don't want to talk about the other individual because he's not on the agenda, but I think that Ms. Vitale's background gives her an upper hand as far as anyone being considered for Planning and Zoning Commission. Pardon me. Go ahead.
Are there requirements to serve?
You have to attend Chapter 55 training for planning and zoning other than living within the city of Bowling Green for a year.
So essentially, anybody who's willing to attend the training could indeed serve and live inside the city limits of Bowling Green. I don't have any further questions.
Nash,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Municipal Order 2018-126.
Municipal order approving the appointment of Kathleen Brown to the Housing Authority of Bowling Green.
So moved.
Second.
Second by resident of, added feature of being a resident both of the Carpenter Court, the main area, but also on the east side, the Bryant Wave area at one time. I worked with Ms. Brown back in the 80s when she was a 911 dispatcher, which demonstrated her ability to quickly size up a situation and make a good recommendation. She's been involved in business, and more recently, a bachelor's degree from Western with a interdisciplinary studies and emphasis in business, and her master's in organizational leadership. And I felt like her background and education would provide a good mix for administrative oversight on.
I assume all these people in the crowd are here for a reason.
Mag, you want to have a comment? You have a comment? Yes. Come on forward.
The Honorable Mayor and the City Commission.
Before you do, give.
I'm sorry, I'm Shanna Banks Dixon with the Housing Authority of Bowling Green. I'm sorry that I'm unable to be there, but I'm out of town on business. This letter is in reference to Ms. Hilda Sarver. When I was 14 years old, me and my mother, who had recently had a stroke, were getting onto a bus. We sat in the front seat, and when the bus driver asked us to go to the back seat because we were violating the law by sitting up front. His actions weren't legal, but were they right? My mother, who had suffered a severe stroke, was forced to get up from her seat up front and to go to the back of the bus to find another seat. Ms. Hilda Sarver has been an inspiration to the Housing Authority of Bowling Green for many years. 2 days a week for over 20 years, Ms. Hilda has worked in our clothing bank, helping those who weren't able to help themselves by providing clothing, furnishing, and food. She has contributed more time than any other board members combined to this housing authority. My hopes and wishes today is that you all look within this woman, Ms. Hilda Sarver, and all the time, hard work, and dedication she has devoted to the Housing Authority of Bowling Green. Your rules and regulations governing this board meeting are legal, but are they right? I am asking, if possible, if you can look within your hearts to put Ms. Hilda Sarver back onto the Housing Authority of Bowling Green Board of Directors. And this was sent sincerely, Mr. Abraham Williams, in his absence.
I'm Sharon Harrell, and I live at 231 Carpenter Court, Apartment C. And I moved in here since 1995, and I've lived in housing, and it's been a blessing to me and my husband that I lost last year. And it's just been a wonderful surrounding of the love and the care that Ms. Hilda has shown a lot of us, and we need her still be continue on the board because she has a kind heart and a loving blessing to all of us, and we need her because it's just a blessing to us. And there's a lot that she has contributed to us as individuals and everything else, but most of all, the love that she's shown housing people to love and kindness and sharing the best, and it is from my heart, because if it wasn't for her inspiration to us, we would be lost in that. And I've just been blessed because I've got good neighbors, and when I lost my husband, John Harrell, John Lancaster had made a wreath and put it on my screen door. And I had my husband cremated, and I brought him home to be closer to me. And it's just been an inspiration to have people that cares and love, and it's just a blessing. And we have prayer service on Wednesday with Calvary, and we have Sean Sales on Fridays. And that is helping me to be at church. And that, so I know a lot of yous, and I know Britt, and it's just been a blessing to know that people cares. And I want them to care for Miss Hilda because she was a dedicated, and she still is, and she can still do the work. And that, so it's just that we've got to share our love for one another, and that. So I just hope that you have a consideration for Miss Hilda, and that. And thank you.
Can we state publicly why Ms. Sarver is not being reappointed?
I think that Ms. Brown is the appropriate appointment at this time for the housing authority. Said I think Ms. Brown is the appropriate appointment or individual to be appointed at this time. This doesn't have anything to, Ms. Sarver is a wonderful lady. Nobody's disagreeing with that. Her term's expired, and after 3 terms, I guess, I've appointed her once before, but I'm recommending Ms. Brown at this point.
Can he be turned up back in the control room? Can he be turned up a little louder in the control room?
Crystal, There's only so far we can adjust those microphones.
Can I say something?
Right, that's what I was trying to see if we could get it turned up back there in the control room behind you. May I make a couple of remarks? First of all, as I look out over the group, there's no one in here besides maybe some of the old folks that's up there with me, like Walthetta, Maxine, and maybe one or two others that have known Mrs. Hilder for as many years as I have. There's no question about her in any kind of a way. The mayor, including when I was the mayor of City of Bowling Green for a very short time, has the authority to appoint people to the boards and commissions. And it should not be interpreted in any kind of a way other than an individual's term has expired, and the mayor, regardless of whether it's Bruce Wilkerson, Slim Nash, or Joe Denny, has the privilege of appointing people to boards and commissions. We have a total of 32 boards in the city of Bowling Green, to where the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, regardless of who it is, appoints individuals or reappoints individuals to those 32 boards. Between July of 17 and June 26 of this year, 38 in total reappointments or appointments have been made to those boards. I was on the Housing Authority Board for several years. Howard Bailey remembers it well. Hell, Eldon Renault, mayor, kicked me off, and I was a seated city commissioner. So I took it in stride and came back and continued my seat here. The point is, it's a privilege to serve like having your driving license. Driving license is a privilege. It's not lifetime that you have driving license. Each one of the boards and commissions that I just mentioned, they have term limits. Dr. Harton has a term limit on the Historic Museum Board. It's going to expire sometime, don't know when. And whoever's the mayor at that time, whether it's me, Slim, or any other of the two, can decide legally, has nothing to do with anything else. It's not black, it's not white, it's not blue. I can appoint the fine doctor back, or I can appoint you to his spot. He, or she, whoever is the mayor at any given time can do that. It's not illegal, nor is it a negative reflection on the person that is leaving that spot. None whatsoever. If it was something negative there, the person wouldn't have been there as long as they have. When I was kicked off of the Housing Authority Board by Eldon Reno as mayor, I looked into it through our city attorney, and he had a right to do it, and he did. He said I would no longer sit on the Housing Authority Board, and I didn't, and I haven't since that time. I guess the point I'm making is that this in no way is to be interpreted as being negative, that anyone, the five of us up here, is opposed to Ms. Hilda in any kind of way. That's not the fact. As I said, I've known her all my life. Probably spanked my butt many times when I was growing up. It's no reflection on Mrs. Hilda Sarvel if a mayor wants to appoint someone to a board. 32 of them. 32 of them.
We'll get you in just a minute, Mr. Bailey.
Make a quick comment, okay, Mr. Bailey, just a real quick comment.
Go ahead.
I have had the pleasure several times of attending a lot of celebrations and functions, teaching courses at the Housing Authority, and most recently, my colleague and I were at the Housing Authority last week for a major celebration, of which was most impressive. There's obviously a lot of really, really good work for the community that's listening. The Bowling Green, Warren County, the Housing Authority has been named an Envision Center, which is a federally designated appointment, allowing for a lot more programming and a lot more noticeable funding coming from the state and the federal level. So there's obviously a lot of really, really great work going on down at the Housing Authority. There's things happening. There were several young people that came and some that weren't so young that actually started there and then have taken on leadership roles. That the impact that had on those folks and their testimonial was it was really moving for me. It was really moving coming from where I came from. Those are the kind of programs that I want to see going on, and people being lifted up and shown a new way, maybe a better way to get further in life. So I want to say thank you to everybody here that's associated with the Housing Authority, that is on the board of the Housing Authority, that works for programs at the Housing Authority. Again, I'm always willing to volunteer whenever somebody calls and says, hey, we want to teach this class or talk about work ethic or whatever it is. I'm going to be there for them. So thank you all.
Howard Bailey. Now, I didn't come here to have anything to do with the Housing Authority. I don't have anything to do with the Housing Authority. And the only person that has a term limit on Howard Bailey is God. So I don't fall in any of those categories that Mr. Denning mentioned. The great accomplishments that you just stated, Ms. Perigin, came about in this community through Abraham Williams. You can call it whatever else you want to. That's what turned Housing Authority of Bowling Green around. I was here before and been here after. He has asked that you keep someone on his board. That means he values that individual. If you value what he has done for this community, then respect something that he wants done. Now, I know how political appointments take place, and I use the term political because I understand and have a reasonable knowledge of the conflict between the mayor and Mr. Williams. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret. The things that you've done that have interfered with what Mr. Williams is trying to do. Now we see you're going against an appointment. I don't know anything about Ms. Brown. If she's in here, I don't know her. But it's obvious that Mr. Williams and his staff would like to keep the lady in there that's there. And what I see going on tonight is political shenanigans. And even though Western's not always real proud that they gave me a degree, one of them is in political science. So I know dirty politics when I see it. Thank you.
Comments?
Reverend Ronald J. Williams. How you doing, Mr. Wilkerson? Let me see how I can say this. We, as people, have the right to vote. And we voted for all of you because we knew you and we trust y'all. The lady that you want to appoint to the board, we don't know her. We do know Ms. Hilda, and we trust Ms. Hilda. The point I'm trying to make is you got your job because we trust you. Now you want to give us somebody that we don't know anything about, don't know if we can trust them. Why don't you put her someplace else and let her work towards earning our trust, and then maybe we can accept this appointment. But right now, I want somebody that speaks for me on the board, because I stay in housing. And I want somebody that represents me on the board that knows me, knows what I expect and what I want, not somebody that doesn't. I don't know if you can understand that, but that's why I voted for you, because I know you, I trust you. I've known you for quite a while now. I still like you, even though you're trying to do this, but I trust you. That's why I voted for you. And that's what I want to see on the board, somebody that I trust and I know.
I'm just going to speak from the heart. I've lived in housing just a little over 4 years now, and I know what it's like to be homeless because I was for a long time. And nothing, no money, nothing, lost everything I had. Bank took my house. I lost everything. But for a little over 4 years, I've lived in housing, and I give thanks and glory to God, but I'm so proud of Miss Hilda. I've seen her a few times. Color ain't got nothing to do with it. She's been a gracious, honorable lady. And I'm going to say this from the heart. I feel if you take her out of her office or whatever it is, I think it will end the lady. I really do. And I don't want to see that happen. But I appreciate your time and thank you.
Will you state your name and address for us, please, sir?
My name is John Lancaster, and I live at 231A Carpenter Court. And I'm glad to be in Housing Authority. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Bobby Joe Green. I live at 229A Carpenter Court. Joe, how you doing?
One of the best baseball players probably to ever play ball in the Bowling Green school system. Wasn't given the recognition that others were given during that same time frame, and has been my long time friend for many, many years.
Good. This afternoon, I kind of, Hilda Saw is my auntie, but she's my mother. And I've found out over the years that she's a person that doesn't take no for an answer. I've watched her at times and everything be out in weather, snow, ice, whatever, while we sitting at home in our comfortable rooms. She's out trying to help somebody because their lights got cut off. She's out trying to help somebody because they don't have the proper coat or clothing to wear. And it just bothers me to a fact that here we sit in here in comfort and all these things here, and here, bless her heart, she's 83 years old. And she wants to still do her job. And I'm up here and everything in her behalf. I don't know all the confusion that's going on or anything like that, even though I live there. But that's my auntie. That's my mother. I'm going to stand up for her come hell or high water. So a lot of times and everything, I think that she's wrong, but she's the type of person everything does not take no for an answer. And she's the type of person, everything, you just sit and wonder at times. How in the world can she just keeping on like that? Because she doesn't get a lot of recognition. But she's a mother to half of Bowling Green. And she's definitely a mother to the people that live at Housing Authority. There's no ifs, ands, and buts and doubt about it. And I just suggest to you all, whatever your personal things are, set it aside, because God is not pleased. Now, if you have a problem with me stating things there and directing that way there, I'm sorry. You take it to a higher power than me. But do the right thing, and you'll be able to live with yourself. I promise you. But do the right thing. This lady is here now, right now. And what you should do is permit her to get up here and listen to her. She's a good person. She is a very good person. It's not going to be no copies whenever she's ready to go home. It's not going to be any copies. But we'd like to just say this, and before I sit down, is simply this. She wants to one day holler and say anything. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. Come on up high. And that's all that she's wanting to do. I know what I'm talking about. It's not no hearsay. That's my mother. I know. Thank you all for taking time out for me. Joe, thank you for that recognition on the sports. I'm still trying to shoot that last basket. And I don't know why you call a foul on me either. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Anybody else? No one
Only me, Your Honor. I completely agree with Commissioner Denning's point that it is a mayor's appointment. And as I understand this particular appointment, it does not even take the ratification of the city commission in order for the mayor to make the appointment. And he is kind enough, based upon history, to continue to bring appointments like this before the board, even though he does not have to. And so I appreciate the fact that he's brought it before the board, and I agree with Joe that it is his appointment solely. I've only chosen to speak now about this particular appointment because when the discussion of this appointment was first made, when the discussion first occurred, I was told that that the mayor was looking at not reappointing Ms. Sarver and finding someone else because she had poor attendance at the Housing Authority board meetings. And while it does not always appear in the agenda, attendance is important to me. And when I served on the city commission in the past, I asked that all attendance records related to reappointments be included in the agenda, because I believe people that are not serving and fulfilling their responsibility should not continue to serve and to allow someone else to do so. So I initially thought if Ms. Sarver isn't serving, say that several times in a row, then maybe her time of service on the Housing Authority has come to an end. So as I dug into it a little further, I learned that Ms. Sarver's lack of attendance at meetings is due to a medical problem that requires doctor appointments, and that those doctor appointments occurred at the same time that the Housing Authority board meetings occurred. As I dug further into the attendance issue, I found that Ms. Sarver could have easily asked that board meetings be rescheduled to another time. But what I've learned, and if I've met Ms. Sarver, I want to apologize now because I don't recall doing so. I've never met her, but I've spoken with about a dozen people who told me that Ms. Sarver would never ask to inconvenience the schedule of other people so that she could continue to attend. And instead, she made the wise decision of attending her doctor's appointments rather than attending the Housing Authority of Bowling Green. And so tonight I hear that Ms. Kathleen Brown, who I believe would be a qualified individual to serve on the Housing Authority. I know her only based upon paper, but I'm concerned that Ms. Sarver is not being given fair consideration related to her reappointment due to her medical condition and her need to attend doctor's appointments. Which leads me to my third and final point, and then I will yield the floor, that I am concerned, and Dr. Bailey referenced it earlier, I am concerned that this appointment and other appointments to the Housing Authority are about a different issue than what we're here talking about this evening, whether it has to do with Ms. Sarver or whether it has to do with Ms. Brown, whether it has to do with the mayor having the legal authority to make an appointment, or whether it has to do with any one attendance record. And I'm concerned that there has been a dispute between the majority of the Housing Authority Board and the wishes of the mayor when it came to retaining an attorney. And I am concerned that what is happening, and if I'm using the wrong word, then somebody can point out the right word to use, but I'm concerned this is a retribution issue. This is, the mayor asked for the board to do something. The mayor or the board did not follow the mayor's instructions, and so the mayor is doing what many politicians have done in the past, and that is using political power to bring about an outcome. And my problem with that is that the Housing Authority is about people's lives. It is not about political power. It's not about garnering votes. It's not about any of those things. It's about, as nearly all our boards are, it's about trying to do our best to serve one another. And in the case of this board, the Housing Authority Board, and others, it's serving others who struggle to serve themselves. And we need the right people in the right positions to be able to do that. I have no ability to introduce a motion to place Ms. Sarver on the board because the law doesn't allow me to do so. That's not in any disrespect to Ms. Kathleen Brown. I'll be voting no on the appointment of Ms. Kathleen Brown, not as a personal attack on her character, but because I believe that we are desperate to have people who want to step forward and serve. And whether it's related to the Planning and Zoning Committee that I spoke before, or it's related to the Housing Authority of Bowling Green, when people step forward and are willing to serve, and we tell them no, and instead go out and recruit others to do so, we end up with what we end up with, and that's disenfranchisement of people, and it's low political involvement. And I don't think that my one no vote, while I hope it will, I don't believe that it's going to potentially change anything, and it's not going to change the political landscape. But at some point, we have to be willing to stand up and ask difficult and uncomfortable questions and issues that I'm talking about tonight. I have the utmost respect for Mayor Wilkerson, He and I laugh and we are friendly, but I was elected to serve the citizens, and I've heard from numerous citizens that Ms. Sarver is the person who needs to be made the appointment. And that is what I would like to happen. So I ask you, Mayor, is this an attendance issue related to Ms. Sarver's illness? And is this an underlying issue of a vote that the Housing Authority Board took that you didn't agree with?
Well, your question is reasonable. We can't hear you. Although the question is reasonable, I don't intend to talk about anybody's health publicly. I will tell you that my recommendation for the citizens of Bowling Green and the Housing Authority is that Ms. Brown is who I would be recommending.
Were those absences that you talk about based on her going to her doctor?
I beg your pardon?
Were the absent days when she went to her doctor? Was those days that she missed?
I received a letter from Mr. Williams with doctor's excuses for the days that the meetings were scheduled last week.
If you're proud of what you're saying, speak up.
Please don't yell.
Well, we can't hear it.
I understand.
My question was, and this is the follow-up to what Slim is asking, the dates in question of Mrs. Sarver's absence from any housing authority meeting, were those days that she had an appointment with her doctor? I have an appointment with doctors, and if it interferes with city commission, I'm going to see my doctor.
Williams forwarded doctor's statements last week to me regarding the days that Ms. Sarver missed.
Were those days of the housing authority meetings?
Yes, sir.
And she had doctor's reports saying that she was going to her doctor.
They came to me from Mr. Williams last week.
I don't have any other questions.
I understand, Mayor, that you don't want to talk about Ms. Sarver's health condition, and I appreciate that. The second question that I ask, although we got an answer to the attendance issue, I believe, the second question that I ask is this related to the board taking a vote that you didn't agree with, and therefore you want to replace members of the board who will take different votes? I guess that's a multi-part question.
I was going to say, I don't know that I quite understand. I haven't gotten rid of anybody because of a vote. I do respect independent voices and questions that come from board members. The question that you're referring to, I lost that vote, but I've lost many votes in here as well. It's just part of life.
Well, I realize that, and I appreciate it, it is part of life. I can attest that it's difficult to lose a vote. But the difference between losing a vote in here is that you can't replace me or Commissioner Denning or Commissioner Perigin or Commissioner Williams. In this particular case, you have the ability to replace members of the board. And I'm asking a specific question, and maybe you're answering it and I'm missing it. Was there a vote that was taken related to the hiring of an attorney, Mr. Kevin Brooks, that you disagreed with? And is that why you are choosing now to replace members of the Housing Authority Board?
Yes and no.
Can you explain?
Yes, the first part, and no, the second
Can't
part.
hear you, Bruce.
Yes for the first part, and no for the second part.
Yes, because they took a vote that you didn't agree with.
No.
Did I say it backwards?
Well, ask one question at a time, and maybe I'll give
Okay.
you the right answer. We're
I
all
apologize.
confused.
I apologize, I'm confusing my questions. Are you replacing members of the board because they took a vote that you didn't agree with?
No.
Are you replacing members of the board because they hired Kevin Brooks as their attorney?
That's the same question. No.
No, that's a different question. Have you ever stated that you were going to replace members of the board because of the vote that they took to hire Mr. Brooks as their attorney?
No, sir.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Lewis? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Mr. John Pastor, I apologize.
Fine, sir. John Lee is my name. I'm
Yeah.
the senior pastor of the Mount Zion Baptist Church here in Bowling Green, and I'll be quite frank with you. I really did not primarily come here for this issue. I really came here to support Mike Delaney. But I also, I am here as because I really wanted to hear really your side of it. I heard the other side of the issue, but I really wanted to hear what you had to say regarding this issue. Because let me be very clear. When you're a public servant, and I don't need to tell you all this, many times you fall on one side or the other on certain issues, and sometimes you become viewed in a certain light, or you're seen as taking certain sides. Let me be clear, and I'm nobody's boy. I'm God's servant, and I come to stand for what's right. If the mayor's right, I'm going to stand on the mayor's side. But if Mr. Williams is right, I'm going to stand on Mr. Williams' side. Let me just say this in closing. I heard the mayor say that this was the appropriate vote at this time. And my question was, what makes Ms. Hilda inappropriate to serve at this time? That was the question in my mind. Not that you're obligated to give me an answer or anyone else. I want to always be very respectful. But again, that is the question in my mind. I have to also be very honest. It is a grave concern of mine. I happen to be find myself in the middle of some of that happened between the mayor and Mr. Williams. I'm concerned whenever personalities conflict and our personal preferences trump the bigger agenda. And I think that the people, Mr. Nash, I want to publicly tonight, I want to commend you for speaking openly and honestly tonight, because the issue you bring to the table tonight is the elephant in the room. It's the elephant in the room. And my concern tonight, sisters and brothers, ladies and gentlemen, is not just this issue. My concern is going forward and how this relationship between our mayor and the director of housing authority is going to affect things. Because I believe there are going to be other issues that's going to rise. And I believe that as long as this issue is unresolved and there is no reconciliation, I'm concerned there's going to be fallout and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it. Did you need to come back? Sure.
My problem is, see, y'all don't live where we live at. We got to go home. And y'all not listening to us. If this is what we want, y'all are our representatives. We voted for y'all. And you do have the power to appoint whoever you want to appoint, and ain't nothing we can do about it because he just told us that. But you still work for us. So I would think that you would take into consideration what we're telling you right now. We didn't come up here on a whim. Look at all these people. If you want a petition, we'll get a petition together. And we'll have everybody sign it. And I don't I don't think that you'll understand what we're trying to tell you. Miss Hilda has almost all the people in housing that stay there behind her. Look at she's got a building named after her. She's got Annie's Place. This woman works tirelessly in our community. Now, you want to take somebody that works tirelessly in the community and place them with somebody that we don't know? Does that make any sense to you? And I'm being honest. I'm being honest. Now, I'm asking you a question.
Please don't take this as, this is, in my mind, a board appointment that I have to consider a lot of ramifications, and I understand what Pastor Lee is talking about, and accusations that people make about different things that may or may not be true.
I'm not making an accusation. I'm stating a fact.
I'm talking in general. But there are things that I think, as a mayor, that are appropriate for the entire city to consider, and in this case, for the Housing Authority of Bowling Green in particular. I think it's appropriate to have someone with the experience that this Ms. Brown has, education and experience, and that's my recommendation. Now, the fact that, I remember, Joe mentioned earlier, he made some board appointments that I wasn't happy with, but I voted for him because it was his appointment as mayor to make. I know that there's always people that are removed. Every time that somebody comes in, I had the privilege of working with Ms. Sarver. I have nothing but good things to say about her. I reappointed her once before.
I understand what you're saying.
Recommending
Understand what
someone
I'm
else
saying.
at this time.
Understand what I'm saying. Education is nice, but it don't beat experience. Education is nice, but it don't beat life stories, life experience. You understand what I'm saying?
But please understand that she will still be, I know Ms. Sarver well enough to know that she will be all over the Housing Authority and participating.
You don't know that, and I don't know that neither.
I know her character. She'll be there to help everybody anytime they have a chance.
You can hope that.
You
can
know
hope
that as
that. But
well
like
as
I said, I'm just saying that I think that you should consider what we're saying before you make your final decision.
I understand.
Okay. Thank you.
Come on up.
My name is Kenita Bryant, and Hilda Sarver is my mother. I've seen her get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to do things for the people in the Housing Authority, all over the state of Kentucky and beyond. She has done so much for this community and everybody else. And the thing is, you say because she was sick, I've seen her when she was in the hospital, and she was collecting things for people that was in need from the Housing Authority. I've seen her when she had to have a doctor's appointment, she was rushing to get from her doctor's appointment because I got to go meet somebody so I can get them, make sure that they all right. I done seen her do so much, and if she missed the meeting, she still was doing what she was supposed to do. She would find out what she had to do. And after that meeting was over, she would call somebody to try to make sure everything was all right. She don't miss, and I think maybe she missed about 3 or 4 meetings because that's all she missed. But I think it was times that they might have changed the meetings to accommodate other people, and not because of her, but it was because of their schedule. And she didn't want to say anything about that, but it's not right because people don't know that lady that's you're really putting on there. She lives beside my brother, my cousin, whatever, and she's lived in Bryant way before too. Y'all need to check the character of that person first and see if she likes people. Some people might not get along with her. If she don't get along with the people in her community or people around her, don't care about the kids around there, how they get on her nerves, you need to check it because my mother's not like that. She tries to accommodate everybody. And you got to think about what you're doing and who you're putting on there. Even though she's got an education, that's nothing. It goes in the heart.
Thank you.
It's from the heart. This is what it's all about. The love and the love that she has shown all of us. And it's been a blessing that we can say housing had given us a home. because I was broke and I was homeless. And since 1995, I have grown a lot, and I'm still learning a lot. And Lori, our senior coordinator, she's a blessing because she has a heart too, and she has given a lot of her time to help everybody. And that's why Hilda is a very special person in our lives. And we love her. And God bless you.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say that, I understand the things that have been said here this evening, and it sounds like Ms. Hilda, although I don't know her personally, she sounds like somebody I'd like to know, that she does wonderful things for all the people that live in the Housing Authority, and I commend her for that. And it would be my hope that she would continue to do those sort of things. This is not a reflection on her by any stretch of the imagination. Many times, terms of people that are serving on boards expire and they have to come off for one reason or another, or you want to bring other blood on to lend a different perspective to the board. I don't know of anybody that loves trains any more than I do. I served my terms on the Depot Restoration Committee, the L&N Depot. My term expired. I had to come off. I continued to work and be around the facility and the project as best I could. And I would hope that Ms. Hilda would continue to do that sort of same thing. It sounds like she does wonderful things in the community, and I commend her for that. But it's no reflection, and I don't think y'all should take it as a reflection on her, because no one up here that I can see is saying anything negative at all about Ms. Hilda.
And I think we need to be clear that the issue is not really about, the real issue is not that it's about Ms. Hilda. I think, again, Mr. Nash addressed the issue. It's this cloud that's over Ms. Hilda. It's this cloud that's over it. And let me just say this, and I'm done, I promise. And that's this. All things are lawful, but all things are not necessarily expedient.
I didn't come down here to talk about housing authority. I said that once before. Grown folks should be able to look one another in the eye and tell the truth. Now, we know what this is all about, and let's not play games about it. Reverend Lee is polite. I'm direct. We know this is between you and Abraham Williams. You pissed off at Abraham, and this is the way you take advantage of other people because you don't care about what these people are saying. This is an opportunity for you to take a shot at Abraham. And we'll hear it later on about how holy that you are and good Christian and all that other stuff. Read what you talk about. This is a hit against Abraham. We know it, and we'll remember it at the voting poll.
Hilda, did you have something?
Mayor Wilkerson, this was not my intention. I've been sitting back here ever since the meeting started. Joe, I don't think you saw me, but I was sitting back there. Slim, you said you've never met me.
I apologize if that's not true.
Williams, I think I've met you once. I think, Mr. Peregrine, I think I've met you once. But my intention wasn't to come here and say anything. But I have to speak for myself. Mr. Wilkerson, yes, I know that my last day is supposed to be June the 30th, 2018. And I'm willing to do that. I'm not looking to replace anybody. But I want you to know, first and foremost, I am for the Housing Authority. And I am concerned about who sits on the board. I want them to be for the Housing Authority. Not just the Housing Authority, but the residents. I've been there longer, not longer than some of them, but I've been there for years. And I know just about everybody that's there. But I'm going to answer one or two questions for you. You said that I had been absent because of a doctor's appointment, and that I could have asked for the board to meet another day. That's not my nature.
I didn't make that comment, no, ma'am.
Ms. Sarver, I made that comment.
Okay, Slim, I'm sorry, Mr. Wilkerson. But what I'm trying to get at is this. I would never have asked the board to wait for me because I had a doctor's appointment. Because to me, that would have been disrespect to them. And for me, that would have been a charge. Because if I didn't get it in there before, I would have had to done it that day. One or two times I was in the hospital that I met. And I'm like, Joe, if I've got a doctor's appointment, I'm going. I'm not going to wait. I'm going. Because I have an illness that has to be taken care of. And another thing I want to say, again, I'm going to say I didn't come here to do this, but I might as well to say it as to thank you. Mayor, we changed our meetings because of you. You asked us to, and we did. We always met on Wednesday, the third Wednesday. But you asked us to change to Thursday, and we did. There was about 4 times you came in there, and you was on a conference call. You never came in the boardroom. You went into Williams's office and talked on the phone, and then left. Another thing that I'm going to correct, and Mr. Bailey, I think you hit on it. This is between you and Abraham. Because Abraham didn't do something that you wanted him to do. So don't take it out on everybody. As far as my appointment on the board, I know that that's left to you. And you've reappointed me before. The only thing I'm saying to you, I'm not begging to be placed on nothing. Because I can sit at home just as well as I can be on that board, but that won't keep me from being what I am to the Housing Authority. But I want you to know something about everybody that you put on there. And another thing, if I'm ever reappointed to the board again and I have a doctor's appointment, I'm going to my doctor's appointment. I'm going to do that. So I want you to know, I want all of you commissioners to know tonight, this was not my intention to come here and speak for nothing. Because I have the letter that you wrote me when you reappointed me in 2006. I have the letter. I knew that I was supposed to leave. But my heart was, and my thought was, I felt deep in my heart that you would reappoint me again. Because I knew that I had been there for the Housing Authority. And I also knew that you had missed some too, for you to go to the other job that you have. So I was wondering if you would think about that. And think about, yes, we feel like that you're doing some things because you're angry with Abraham. Please don't let it be that.
Yes, ma'am.
But whatever it is, you correct it with Abraham and with your God. Because my God says that I've done right. And I feel like that I still deserve to be on the board of the Housing Authority because I care. And again, I want to say that I am sorry. I had no intentions of speaking, but I couldn't sit there and let you continue to talk and me sitting back there and nobody know that I was there. I'm sorry. Joe, Slim, Bruce Wilkerson, Rick Williams, Sue Peregrine, I apologize.
Ms. Carver. Okay, I think we're ready to go ahead and vote because of the Code Enforcement Board meeting that we've held over on them. They start at 5 o'clock. Does that understand, Mr. Broderick? Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Ash?
No.
Perigin?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
No.
Wilkerson?
Yes. That's the last item on our agenda. The next scheduled meeting will be our regular meeting on July 17th, and we're skipping June 3rd for Thunderfest. Thank you for tuning in.